lot of the conversation here at the Mackinac Policy Conference is centering around economic growth here in the state of Michigan. And joining me now to talk about that is Steve Arwood. He is the CEO of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Steve, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, before we start talking about funding for the MEDC, which has been a lot of conversation up here on the island, let's talk about what actually the MEDC does right now and what you're targeting for the state.
Well, I mean, we do three primary things if you look at our overall activity. One is business development. Obviously, that's the whole incentives program plus the attraction of businesses into the state, working with our growth businesses here, and just helping to create more and better jobs. Now, we don't create jobs, but we certainly provide a framework within that to compete with other states and basically other countries. Second area we do, which I think we need to explain a little bit better to a wider audience, is community development. We are involved in $40 to $50 million a year in projects in communities, Main Street projects like facade improvements, all the way up to several real estate programs we've been involved in the city of Detroit. Starting in around 2006, we were part of the group that helped put together the book Cadillac, which is kind of a catalyst project for Detroit in the middle of a deep recession, and we're involved in several things, including M1 Rail, all hosts of catalyst projects in core cities. The last area we're in what we call our entrepreneurial services, which is really money that goes to a lot of strategic service providers, helping small business, access to capital, those types of programs. So they're a wide range of programs, but they really fall in those three big buckets: business, community, and entrepreneurialism.
How do you finding, I guess, really selling Michigan or marketing Michigan in this last year?
Well, it's been fantastic because in my lifetime...
and fantastic isn't a word that they would have used maybe in years past.
No, because think about this. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, where our economy was. 4 or 5 years ago, where Detroit was. Think about where Detroit's been for several years. Now it's still getting reality to meet perception. But when I go out of the state or even out of the country and I talk about Michigan, they say, "Yeah, what did you guys do? How'd you come back so fast?" So you get to talk about all the fundamentals, all the things that the legislature's done, the governor's done, to really rebuild that fundamental base. But we also get to talk about Detroit. And it's not about, the defensive posture. It's more like, hey, I hear about Detroit. Tell me more about Detroit. And that, I think, is in my lifetime in this business, that's something I've never been able to, really put out there and say, yeah, you got to come check it out. Because now we're dealing with people that want to know about it, want to come and see what's going on because they hear about it, so you get to build on that. It makes the job so much easier. And frankly, I mean, we all ought to be celebrating where we're at in this state and with our big city and other cities like Grand Rapids and cities like Flint that are making a dramatic turnaround. So, it's a great time to be in this job. I think we just got a great story to tell, and we got to be a little louder and prouder.
It's a great time to be in this job, but also at the same time, you're fighting a little bit for the money now you get from the state. Members of the legislature are eyeing it as a possible, well, we should take some of this money from the MEDC and put it into road funding. How does that impact you when they talk about cutting some of the funding that you would receive?
Well, I think first of all, I mean, this is not this is not a parochial economy in the Midwest. We're a worldwide economy. So what people see, this is an international marketing, job. Other states are looking at that going, why would you do that? When you ought to be doubling down. And I'm not advocating that we need more money. I'm saying I think the money we get from the legislature is adequate to do the job that's in front of us. But it's hard to explain because, you can't market a negative. You want to market a positive. So, when it takes a business or a community 2 to 5 years to plan a project, they want to see some consistency in the funding too. So it's a challenge right now, but we'll get through it.
So it is detrimental if other companies see, well, Michigan might be pulling back on this. This might change our mind as to what our intentions are.
I think that it's a real possibility. Being in the business, I think I would take that into consideration.
How successful will the MEDC be should they lose? Should they take a bit of a cut? And what kind of bit of a cut are we talking
Well,
about that they're talking to you
we
about?
just did take a cut. We were part of the budget negotiations to resolve this year's budget to free up more money for roads. So we did take our share of cut. It's a $40 million cut. We designed it, but the cut that the roads proposal is talking about is about 135 or so million, and that would really decimate programs.
So what are some of the conversations that you've been having up here on Mackinac Island now?
Just that we need to really be thoughtful about that. I testified this week in opposition to it. Many business people testified in opposition to it. I want to be thoughtful. I want to be positive, but it would create a large marketing problem for the state of Michigan at a time when we should be, this should be a bipartisan, non-confrontational, effort right now. We should all be holding hands and saying, hey, ain't we great? Let's keep pushing forward.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing what the MEDC does next. Steve Arwood, thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it, and stay with